Mel Gibson's career began with a bang, launching him into international stardom with the Mad Max franchise and cementing his place as one of the most bankable stars of the 1980s and 1990s. His rugged charm, commanding presence, and undeniable talent made him a global phenomenon. Films like Lethal Weapon, Braveheart, and The Patriot weren't just hits, they turned him into a cultural force who could balance action, drama, and charisma all in one performance. But with every rise comes hidden shadows, and behind the fame, the seeds of controversy and personal battles were quietly growing. The tragedy is that while audiences saw Gibson as a heroic figure on screen, few realized the real-life storms he would face, storms that would eventually change his entire reputation. In 1995, Mel Gibson directed and starred in Braveheart, a film that not only won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director, but also seemed to cement his place as one of Hollywood's greatest talents. It was a defining moment. The world saw him not just as an actor but as a visionary filmmaker. At this point, his career looked unstoppable, and the accolades placed him among Hollywood's elite. Yet, success often carries heavy burdens. The pressure to live up to monumental achievements created cracks in his carefully crafted image. The tragedy here lies in how quickly Hollywood can elevate a man to legendary status, and how quickly it can turn its back when personal struggles come to light. As the 2000s unfolded, Gibson's personal life began making more headlines than his career. Allegations of problematic behavior, controversial remarks, and strained relationships with colleagues started surfacing. What fans once viewed as a larger-than-life persona began shifting into something darker. The tragedy was that Gibson, who had built his image on passion and intensity, found those same qualities working against him as anger, addiction, and personal turmoil spilled into the public eye. Hollywood, once eager to celebrate him, now grew cautious, unsure whether the man they had crowned a king of cinema could still live up to his reputation. The defining low point came in 2006 when Mel Gibson was arrested for driving under the influence in Malibu. What should have been a private legal matter spiraled into a global scandal after his offensive remarks during the incident became public. Overnight, Gibson went from Oscar-winning icon to a symbol of disgrace. Hollywood turned on him, projects disappeared, and the man once considered untouchable faced the harsh reality of cancellation before the term even became common. The tragedy wasn't just in the words spoken, it was in the speed with which his legacy unraveled, leaving fans torn between their love of his work and their disappointment in the man himself. Following the scandal, Gibson faced years of professional exile. Studios refused to hire him, actors distanced themselves, and his reputation seemed irreparably damaged. For a man who had once been among Hollywood's most powerful figures, the fall was catastrophic. He worked sporadically, often behind the scenes, struggling to find redemption in an industry that thrives on second chances, but is also quick to judge. The tragedy here was in watching a once celebrated artist, whose films had touched millions, reduced to a cautionary tale. For many fans, it felt like watching a hero slowly disappear before their eyes. Despite the controversies, Gibson never fully gave up. In 2016, he made a remarkable comeback with Hacksaw Ridge, a World War II drama that earned 6 Academy Award nominations and reignited discussion of his talent as a director. For a moment, it seemed possible that Gibson might find his way back into Hollywood's good graces. Yet even this success couldn't fully erase the scars of his past. The tragedy is that Gibson's brilliance as a filmmaker remained undeniable, but the shadow of his mistakes always lingered, preventing him from reclaiming the full respect he once commanded. Away from the cameras, Gibson's life was marked by personal struggles that mirrored his public controversies. His marriage to Robin Moore ended after 26 years, one of the most expensive divorces in Hollywood history. Later relationships brought more turmoil, with high-profile breakups, allegations, and public disputes painting a picture of a man unable to find peace in his private life. The tragedy lies in how fame and fortune failed to shield him from heartbreak, instead magnifying every misstep and turning deeply personal struggles into public spectacles. Gibson has long been vocal about his Catholic faith, something that played a huge role in his 2004 film The Passion of the Christ. While the film was a massive box office success, it also sparked intense controversy, with critics accusing Gibson of pushing divisive themes. For Gibson, faith was both a source of strength and a lightning rod for criticism. The tragedy here is the paradox. The very beliefs that gave him purpose also fueled public backlash, further complicating his already fragile reputation. His spiritual convictions made him an outlier in Hollywood, admired by some but alienated by others. Gibson's controversies strained his relationships with colleagues in Hollywood. While some actors defended him, many others openly distanced themselves, unwilling to risk their own reputations. Once a sought-after collaborator, he became a figure many avoided. Even when he managed to secure roles in films like The Expendables 3 or Daddy's Home 2, the public debates about whether he should even be allowed back on screen overshadowed his performances. The tragedy is that a man once celebrated for uniting audiences through powerful storytelling became a divisive figure in the very industry he helped shape. Now at 70, Gibson is no longer the young action hero of Lethal Weapon or the fearless warrior of Braveheart. Age has slowed him down, and the weight of past mistakes looms heavier than ever. In interviews, he's reflected on his regrets and the lessons learned, admitting to flaws but also seeking forgiveness. The tragedy lies in the realization that even with wisdom and maturity, the damage of the past cannot always be undone. For fans, it's heartbreaking to see a man once so full of vitality and promise now viewed through the lens of scandal and regret. Few stars have divided audiences the way Mel Gibson has. Some remain loyal, remembering the brilliance of his films and his undeniable contributions to cinema. Others cannot look past the controversies, seeing him as a symbol of Hollywood's darker side. The tragedy here isn't just in Gibson's personal story but in the fractured legacy he leaves behind, a body of work that inspired millions now forever tied to the mistakes of its creator. For fans, the conflict between loving the art and questioning the artist remains one of the most heartbreaking aspects of his story. As Mel Gibson reaches 70, his legacy remains uncertain. Will he be remembered as the gifted actor and director who gave the world timeless classics, or as the man whose personal demons derailed his career? The tragedy is that both are true. His story is one of immense talent and crushing controversy, of soaring triumphs and devastating falls. For audiences who grew up watching him as the fearless hero or the passionate filmmaker, seeing his name tied more to scandal than artistry is beyond heartbreaking. At 70, Mel Gibson's life is a stark reminder that even the brightest stars can cast the darkest shadows. If you're drawn to powerful stories and the most shocking revelations from the world of celebrities, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss another emotional, surprising, or eye-opening update. We're just getting started, and there's so much more to uncover. Your support keeps these stories alive and helps us bring you the truth behind the headlines. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.